Hi everyone, it's Louise. I just want to let you know straight up front, this is your one-stop complete tutorial of coaster making, from the fluid art through the taping, the resining, the tape removal, the sanding, the corking. You have it all here. Stay all the way through to the end with tips and the products I use. You won't be disappointed. Hi everyone, it's Louise with Louise McCare, and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be doing some coasters because I will be honest with you guys. As some of you, most of you might know, I did take a trip to the Outer Banks with some of my classmates from West Point, and I've been back almost a week, and I have had a hard time getting back down here to start making things again. So I'm going to start with some coasters as like a quick little warm-up because I feel like I've lost my mojo to some degree. So I went through, did a complete audit of my paints, cleaned out a bunch of old stuff, salvaged some of the stuff I could, and I've got this color palette right here that I'm going to be going with, and it's a little bit thick. I just mixed this up this morning. Anyway, that is the Amsterdam Sky Blue Light, and what I'll do here, I will just call everything out as I start to pour. So here's my Multi-Pro. This is my PPG Multi-Pro. This is the pillow. And I get a lot of questions, so I think I have some newer folks subscribing to me. So I need to start getting a little more into more detail as I'm going through things. So for those that have been around a while, I'm sorry if I'm a little bit repetitive. But this is the pillow. And in the bloom technique, there's 3 components of it. You have the pillow, you have your paints, and then you have your cell activator. The pillow is always the thickest. This is the pillow. It's my Multi-Pro. I try to have it about 4 to 5 second trace, so it's really thick. And all this is the vehicle to spreading out the paints. So here we go with the paints. This is my Amsterdam's Sky Blue. And I have not tried this color palette yet. This is the first of its kind. And Sky Blue Light. And we'll see how it goes. Now, I had a combination before that I really loved with this color. It's Artist's Loft Aqua Green. So here it is. Let's lay some of that down. I've been feeling really blue lately. So the next color is my Amsterdam's Prussian Blue. Now my colors are mixed with the pouring medium. The pouring medium is my Valspar 833124, and I mix that about 3 parts paint to 1 part varnish. And I'm going to link above my video 140, which shows you exactly how I mix my pouring medium, only in that video I'm using the Glidden, but Glidden or Valspar both work fine. Here is my quinacridone nickel azo gold and Zeus. So when I mix these together, when I mix my pouring medium, which is this, the Valspar with the Minwax, I mix about 2 parts of that to 1 part paint. Now here's an unusual color I'm going to put down last. This is green. It's an Artesa's Cadmium Oxide Green with Sky Blue from Arteza and Golden's Black. An unusual color I'm choosing here, but I'll tell you what, this color has been surprising the pants off of me. It's not a color, it's my color mixed up. So we'll see what it decides to do with this. I'm really curious to see how this is going to go with this. My eyeball says no, but my sense of adventure says yes. So this is the cell activator. This is Australian Floetrol cell activator, and it's mixed about 2 parts, I'm sorry, Floetrol to 1 part titanium white from Amsterdam. So here we go. Lay this down, and then I'm going to blow it out. Start to see a halo. That's always a good sign. I'm going to blow. And if you don't have access to the Australian Floetrol, I have an American Floetrol cell activator recipe, video 141. I will link it above. So when I'm blowing out the cell activator, I blow straight down into the cell activator to try to get that nice circle that you saw there. And then once I see the circle and the ridge that's formed from blowing straight down, I blow at the ridge, which is where the cell activator and the paint are accumulating, and then I blow that ridge out, which is going to have the cell activator blowing out over the paints and the paints blowing out over the pillow. And I do this all the way around till I'm done. So I'm going to go in fast speed here and skip ahead a little bit. All I'm doing is pulling the pillow to the edges and the sides so that when I get ready to spin, the composition has a nice smooth glide path to getting to the sides and edges. All right, let's give this thing a spin. See if I'm centered. It's pretty good. Yeah, this one's a little darker, which I like. The other two are kind of lighter. And that tends to how I make my coasters. I tend to start out lighter and then work my way darker. Because most times I discover I need to add more paint. I need to add more color. So all I'm doing here is making sure I've got some paint on all the edges. It's fully covered, and I'll be cleaning up a little bit. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. So I'm going to voice over here. For the newer people especially, coasters are a great way to try different color combinations and practice your blooming because they're small, you don't use a whole lot of paint, and it just gives you fast results. The other thing is that little cup that's to the right of my hand, that's my scrap cup. So every time between spins, I'm cleaning up some of the paint off of the turntable and I'm pouring it into the cup. And one of these days I'll actually use all the scrap paint in another bloom as my pillow. The opportunities just don't come up a whole lot. You get those two edges off. I'll tell you what, you can't go wrong with a blue combination. It is just like, it's like candy. It's like candy. So going forward, I'm going to cut out all the cleaning up parts. Always be careful where your hands are. You don't want to ever have your hands go over the top, especially with paint on it. And then you have a dribble, and then you say, what happened? And cry into your paints. Yes, I'm going to be smart this year and make a bunch of coasters ahead of time because last year came and the end of the year came and I didn't have enough. I didn't have enough during the year. So I'm just going to always be making these things. I'm going to cut out some of the spinning too because I have a lot to show you coming up. Here it is so far. Hi everyone, so I'm just going to show you how I tape the back of my coasters prior to resining them and how I prep them before resining. Now you can do this before you even pour on them. I have never done that, which it probably makes more sense to do it beforehand. But all I'm doing here is taping straight up to the edge of the sides. And when I get to the end, I just cut it right at the edge. Easy peasy. And then I go to the other side, and I do this all the way around. And I don't stress about it being absolutely perfect. When I was first learning how to do this, I did. Don't get stressed out. Just cut it to the end, or as close to it as possible. When tomorrow comes and I take the tape off, it'll be fine. This is just regular masking tape. I do have the frog tape. I've used the frog tape. To me, it doesn't make a difference. So save the bucks. Just use masking tape. At least I do. Just press it down, go to the end. Just this simple. Doesn't have to be perfect because it's all going to come off in the end anyway. So once I get done doing that, I make sure I have gloves on for this part because you don't want to have the oils from your hands touching the piece you're going to resin. So then all I do, I have a little alcohol spritz bottle. I just spritz paper towel, and then I just clean it, make sure I've got all the sides cleaned off, top, sides, so when I resin it, it's good to go. And you're going to find a little bit of residue on the paper towel, depending on the color. And that's it. So a little spritz. I don't spray on there, I spray on the paper towel. Gentle, just a gentle rub. You're just trying to get off any debris, any of the oil. And don't let the little residue scare you, because it's all good. And this is what I do. So I think with that, I will sign off and I will get to resining in a second. All right, everyone, I'm going to be getting ready to resin here, but I just wanted to give you a little intro, and I'm going to show you what I use and how I have things set up over here. So I'll be back. I'll be flipping the camera around. All right, so real quick, here's the setup. I'm only doing 8 things of resining today, so it's going to be pretty quick. My lighting, I have my backlights on. I've got my overhead light on. I've got my side light on. I keep it covered with a tent until I'm ready, so any dust and debris from the day isn't falling into it. I've cleaned the area up, so it should be a fresh start, but I tell you, there's almost nothing you can do to prevent dust from getting in. It's just going to happen. A little piece, a little remnant here and there, not a big deal. Got my extra pair of gloves I'll be putting on. I'll wear 2 pair of gloves while I'm resining. I use KS Resin Liquid Stone. I'm not going to show you all the mixing and everything. I'm going to follow the manufacturer's instructions, so whatever resin you have, follow their instructions. I have some alcohol for cleaning up. I've got the stir stick for stirring with. I've got my respirator I'll be wearing, my torch, my tweezers in case I need it, toothpick in case I need it, and I think that's about it. I've got some little Kimtech wipes over there that is nice dust-free cleaning of my utensils if I do have to go in to get some debris and dust. And I think that's it. So I will be back when I'm ready to resin. So I'm getting to the end of my mixing. I set the timer for 4 minutes. And you want to make sure that when you're done, at the end of your time period, that there's no stringy, that everything's constituted. So now that I've got that, I'm going to move this out of the way. And then I'm going to just start pouring. Hopefully everything's in camera here. I'm just going to start pouring out my resin. Now I mixed just over 100, a little about 100 milliliters, 100 milliliters for these. It should be enough. If it's not, then I'll just, not do one of these. We'll see. Yeah. I pretty much know how far I should get with my mileage. So I'm going to keep the resin portion only focused on the coasters. But going back to the mileage, when I say mileage, I'm referring to how much resin you need to cover what you're trying to cover. So you need to be able to calculate how many square inches of material you're trying to cover, and then know how many milliliters of resin you need to cover it with. That is the mileage. So you pick it up. I always start from the inside, work my way to the corner. I start at one corner, and I know where I've started from, so I know where to come back to. I rub along the sides, and you'll know if you missed a spot because it'll feel like it's stuck. Your finger will get stuck. It won't ride smooth. So the resin actually is a nice glide. It glides along. And I just push it out, spread it out. Push it out, spread it on the corners and the sides. Push it out, get the corners, the sides, last side. I like to use my fingers because I can feel. And you're going to get air bubbles. Don't worry about them right now. They're going to come out in a minute. Once again, push it out. You can have it drip onto the next one if you want to save resin. So it's not just wasting. So push it out and get the side. Push it out. Get the side. That's pretty much all there is to the applying it. I'm not sure how much of this I'll show. When you hold it up to the light, you can see if you got everything or not. Where you got to be careful is where there's air bubbles, because they'll pop. And then it might leave an empty spot. Gentle torch. You always keep your torch moving. And you'll see the bubbles just disappear. Lots and lots, hundreds of air bubbles. The heat helps it percolate up. I'm looking using the light as my reflection to see if there's anything in there. And there's nothing in there right now, but something will fall in, there's no doubt. Okay, so in the meantime, I'm gonna clean up my cup and I'll be back. Just so you know what I was doing, I let this wait for 7-10 minutes. In the meantime, I clean up my cup and my stick with the alcohol. So it'll be all ready to go for the next time. So for the rest of this, I'm just going to talk through it. I torch it a couple more times between the next 15 minutes or so before I get ready to put it to bed, just to make sure I've got all the air bubbles out. I double check to make sure I don't have any debris in there or as minimal as possible. And then at the very end, I will clean the bottoms up right before I put the tent on it. And that's about it until the next phase. So welcome back. This is the tape removal portion, and this is about 18 hours later. So this is just with the regular masking tape, right? No problem. I know when I was first starting out, people would put the fear into me about, you have to have this or you have to have that. You need to have the frog tape. You have to have this special stuff. The fact of the matter is, you know what? As long as you press the tape on nice and firmly, you're going to be fine. And like I showed in the other one, when you get into a little snag and things don't come up nice and easily, use the heat gun. I have a little Wagner, get it from Home Depot or Lowe's. Heat up the edge a little bit. Always put the heat gun down so that the tip is up because it gets quite hot. You don't want it to burn. And you just peel that tape off like a champ. Having some fingernails helps. Look at this. So easy. Boom. Now I'll be back to sand. So once I have all the tape off, next step is to sand down the edges because there might be a little bit of resin on the edge, particularly the corners that might be a little bit sharp. You don't want somebody to have that. So I use a little 220 grit sandpaper and I just go along all the edges. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because this one's actually not too bad, but that's all I do. Sand the edges, give it a quick wipe down, lay it down. I've got my self-adhesive cork. I get this off of Amazon. Pick whatever size you want. This is a 4-inch cork, self-adhesive. Press it on firmly. There's the coaster. There's the cork and the stamp I get off of, I'll list it below where I get the stamp. Matter of fact, let me just show you the stamp. So I get little sets off of Zazzle, actually. Here's my stamper. You know, like $10 or so each. And you get your stamper pad here. And I prep my cork ahead of time. And then when I get ready to do the corking, it's all ready to go. And that's all I do for the corking part. I will be back now for the final results. So when we finally come to the end, and this is finally a wrap. What started out as a simple coaster video, I've turned into a complete, and I mean complete, one-stop, start to finish tutorial that I hope will be beneficial to all of you out there. One of my subscribers suggested I start a Patreon account. Please let me know if you think that would be worthwhile in the comments. If you're new here, please subscribe, hit the bell and all. You'll get all my latest art tutorials. A comment would be great, a thumbs up would be good, but hit that bell and all, otherwise YouTube will not consider you a valid subscription. And at the end here, I will have some other coaster creations, and I will have a link to my coaster playlist to see other color combinations and other results. Thanks a lot, everybody. Until next time, take care.